what I would do is I would upselling them to a recurring maintenance package. It's great.
Yeah.
I would rather you build a business where at least half of that revenue is recurring. So let's say you build the business to about 300K this year. At least in 2026, when you start, at least you're starting with 150K in the bank already that year. Just sell them a monthly bush and bed trim instead of you just calling us twice a year for a fraction of the cost. You can get on this monthly subscription and it's hassle free. You don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, I think that would be an amazing idea.
All right. So today we have Andrew. Andrew, thanks for coming on. You are up in near Toronto, Canada. Maybe share with me a little bit about kind of like your business. Maybe give me like 30 seconds up to speed of kind of where you're at in business and then where you're wanting to take it this year. And then we can see how I can help.
Yeah, so we are a student lawn care company based just south of Toronto. Me, myself, I'm a university student. All the employees I hired, they're either high school, college, or university students. It's a mix of lawn care and landscaping. We do things like mowing the lawns. We do mulch, sod, and then flower bed cleanups. This past year, we just got up to 170 clients and just passed 100,000 in revenue. That was a big jump from the previous year of $30,000 in revenue. And this upcoming year, we're looking to do 300,000 and service just over 450 clients.
Wow, that's incredible. Andrew, what's the long-term goal of this? Like what do you want to do like 5-10 years down the road? Like what do you want that kind of end goal to look like?
I'm not entirely sure myself. I know there's two directions I'm either going to take it. First direction is I'm either going to build this company and keep doing the residential lawn care, whether it's me franchising or just making it one big operation. And the second route is either going into more hard landscaping and start taking on commercial projects because like my dad's a contractor himself, he does structural steel and he gets on big contracts. So those are the two directions I'm looking to take.
Okay, awesome. So you definitely want to grow, it seems like. Is it more of like revenue growth or is it more of like freedom growth or impact growth? Like both of those goals, like those options are good, but like I guess like what do you want for your business? Like what do you want at the end of the day? Is it just to make kind of more money? Is it to like what does that have for you?
Yeah, so I'd say for the next 3 years, what I'm certain of is that I want to grow this company revenue wise and also impact wise. Like kind of what we focus our company around is supporting students and other youth in the community and kind of just connecting them to other homeowners, other people in the community. Like I really like that impact portion of it just because I have 3 younger brothers myself and this is something I want to build to like help them help out their friends. And like I really find joy in doing that, being able to provide to other people in the community.
Awesome. That's very cool. Okay, so you said you have 170 customers. You did 100,000 this past year. The previous year you said that I think you did 30,000. How many customers did you have at that point?
I think I had about it was probably around 50 clients, 50 to 60 clients the year before.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, what can I help you out with? What questions do you have for me?
Yes. So there was 4 things, like 4 big hurdles I had to overcome this past year. First was keeping up with the demand. I found my marketing and sales were pretty on point. Like just for some numbers, we had about like we were completely smashed with leads and with estimates. I had to close my calendar for about 2 weeks during the spring rush and stop taking on quotes just because I couldn't keep up with the work. Like we had a really low customer acquisition cost. It was about $30 per customer, and we had an average sale of 600 and a 50% close. I couldn't keep up with the organizational aspect of it, the scheduling, and actually producing the work. Like I found that was just a really big challenge for me.
How many trucks and vehicles do you have?
So that's the thing. When I first started this past season, during the whole spring rush, I didn't have a truck. I was kind of borrowing a truck on the weekends and using my workers' minivans and sedans. After the spring rush, I did end up investing in a pickup truck, and I'm looking to get another pickup truck in the next, I'd say, 2 weeks to a month. And then this way I'll be going into the next season with 2 trucks.
Yeah. Okay, so cool. Yeah. So then I would say priority number 1 for you over the next 1 to 2 months, once you get that second truck, is to fill those trucks to capacity. So what does that look like? So you've got, how many workers did you have working for you last year? Was it just you or a part-time helper?
It was quite a few. We had 15. We had one person, it was my girlfriend. She was basically helping out, answer the phone and answer emails. We had 1 sales rep. We had 3 landscapers. We had 4 guys cutting grass, and then we had 6 part-time marketers.
Okay, that to me seems like a lot unless they're like all part-time. At $100,000 business, yeah, that seems like there's a lot of people
Yeah.
unless they're only working at like X amount of hours a week. You know what I mean?
Yeah, so that was just during the spring rush, just because a lot of what we do is project based. So we had that during peak season, but then after the peak season, we just got down to 2 guys cutting grass, and we had 2 landscapers. And then the marketers, they were also just part time. They were just handing out flyers, but a lot of the work was done during the months of May and June, and also April.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that sounds good. So this year, are you guys going to be working 5-day work weeks, or is it still going to be kind of like on the weekends and part-time?
Yeah, so last year, this year, we're going to be working 5-day work weeks for sure. I'm looking to work 5-day work weeks throughout the whole season for both the landscaping crew and the lawn cutting crew.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, that'll be good. So if you can get 2 trucks, I would say I just fill that to capacity. So ideally you would have, at least 2 guys in each truck. Yeah, I would say definitely probably try to get to the point where you have 4 full-time employees, get the amount of work for 4 full-time employees, and that might require you to really kick on and put on that sales hat and like really
Yeah,
go like door hangers. Like if you need to hire a couple more people to do door hangers to fill the routes out. Are you using a CRM?
yeah, so I have Jobber.
I'm not super familiar with Jobber, but are you able to send out like texts or emails to like mass clients and leads?
Yeah. I also
Okay,
have
so yeah.
Mailchimp.
Oh, okay, there you
Sorry.
go. Yeah. MailChimp. Yeah.
Like, I have a lot of these things running in the back end to help me manage the clients. Like, I have quite a few software subscriptions, just to
Mhm.
help me run things a bit more efficiently. So that this way I'm not doing too much of the labor myself. And I can really just like focus on like growing the company and doing sales, just because I find I really enjoy sales.
Yeah.
But yeah.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I would lean into that definitely, and then just really just have that like the 1 to 3 month goal is to try to fill those trucks to capacity as quickly as possible.
Okay.
Absolutely. And then like try to
Sounds
capitalize on the spring rush as best as you can. So how
yeah.
what marketing tactics were you using last year to fill?
So about 90% of what we did came from flyers. We handed out 15,000. Well, actually, they're kind of like door hangers, but instead they're just flyers, and we stick them on the slits on people's doors. And then when they open the doors, the flyer literally drops into their house. I find it works a bit better than door hangers, just because like people see door hangers all the time as opposed to like just a big thick flyer. So we did about 15,000 flyers, just had high school students handing them out, and that did pretty well. And then the other 10% was just not going door to door and actually pitching the services.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Dude, that
Yeah.
that sounds like that's working. So lean into that this year, double down, triple down on it.
Yeah.
Try to 2x or 3x that volume. So if you did 15K last year, just try to hit like every house in the neighborhood or in
Yeah.
your territory at least once. So
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. I was thinking of doing 50,000 flyers this year, because the thing is I want to hand them all out in the spring rush, because I found I got really poor results after the spring rush was over. Whereas like in the spring rush, like let's say in the month of May, I sold $50,000 worth of work just in that month alone, whereas all the other months it really tailed off, because in Canada, like where I'm at, we're super seasonal. Like there's only about 6 to 7 months where you can actually do work. So I'm gonna put them all at the beginning, but the only thing with that is it's going to be hard for me to keep up with the amount of quotes coming in. And like I think I did the math, for me to hit 300,000, I need to be doing roughly 60 quotes a week during the peak season. So I was looking to get some sales reps in. Yeah, just like try and find a way to like actually manage that workflow or that workload.
So the type of services that you offer mainly like in the quotes during that time, is it a lot of just like regular mowing, or is it a lot of project based where you have to like go out and quote in person?
Yeah, so those type of quotes early on in the season, they're almost all project based, and they're all just like we want to get them done like right away, and like they really don't like waiting more than like let's say 2 3 weeks to let's say get their mulch done before the season comes around, or get their sod done or whatnot.
So yeah, so that's where you might have to really shift into like that sales mode. Like if you put on your estimator hat and just go like just become the full-time estimator 5 days a week. Like that's like to where you're not in the field doing the work. Like you have to have those 2 trucks that you have Those workers are the guys that get the stuff done. You're the one that goes out and sells and like meets in person estimates that way. Yeah. Another one of the things that we are doing this year on our website, which it won't help that much with you just because you said a lot of what you're doing is project based, but this might help alleviate some of the other stuff. So like you have your mowing prices and you basically probably have a range of type of clients that you have, right?
Yeah.
Of like mainly residential, if I'm assuming.
Yeah, all residential.
Yeah. So, and then you have probably some yards that like that are too big for you. You're like, yeah, that's too outside of our scope.
Well, to be
Right.
honest, the area that I'm kind of based in, all the houses are pretty much the same. Like there's like no real big houses or big properties. Like I would say the most is let's say 2,000 square feet or 3,000 square feet, something along those lines. Like they're quite small properties. So we don't really say no to people for lawn cutting.
Yeah. So what you could do if you have a website,
Yeah.
what you could do is during this off season while you're kind of waiting for things to ramp up, what we implemented this year was instant pricing on our website. It's not fully finalized yet, but basically where a customer can go fill out a submission form and then if they need mowing services, they just click the mowing and then it's like small, medium, or large. And you just break it down into the categories and you show them a picture of what the lawn looks like with like some kind of okay, this is how big like the truck is parked in the driveway. You can kind of see how large the lawn is based on that. And then there's also like another image, like a satellite view of it for the customer. But that would help you or whoever is answering the phones not get bogged down with that stuff to where a customer could literally go on the website and get an instant price for mowing. So that way your focused time and energy can be spent on the projects. Yeah, if projects are the heaviest thing, I would probably say that that's probably the best bet is for you to just probably become the full-time estimator. Even at like doing 100,000 and you want to triple that, like yeah, you're going to be needing to do a ton of quotes and you just be the one to sell it and then have your guys be the one to do the work and complete it.
Okay. And do you think it'd be worth getting another sales rep to help me out with the quotes? Because it would take quite a bit of my time throughout the week. Like each of my quotes will take about 40 minutes, including the drive time, just because like we write up all the estimates on the iPad, get everything looking super professional.
Yeah,
So
so yeah, and sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. It sounds like there's a system, a process that needs to be fine-tuned. Like it should
okay.
not be taking 40 minutes for like if it does that I don't think you can really build a great business off of that. So how do we
Okay.
fix and build that system? Are you doing these in-person estimates? Are you doing
Yeah.
drive-bys? Like how do you do estimates?
Yeah, so basically, I'll give you a really short rundown. So it's in-person estimates. We go to the homeowner's house. We kind of discuss what they're looking for. We do a walk around, kind of point things out that they said they wanted change or they said they want work done with. And then as well, we'd point out other things that like they weren't really aware of, like problems on their lawn or just like other things that they can get done. Or actually, they'll go back into the house. We hand them our client manual, tells them a bit about our company, kind of does a bit of a selling for us. And then I'm taking measurements outside and then write up the estimate. And then I come back in with the iPad, sit down with them in their house, and then work through the numbers and get them to sign and put a deposit down.
Got it. And what services do you offer on these projects?
So it's primarily flower bed cleanups, mulch installations, and sod installations.
Okay.
Like those are
So,
projects.
yeah. Okay. So the sod might be a little bit more complex. You potentially might need to meet with them, but I would argue that you could probably get away with. There is an argument to be said that it is important to meet with the customers to be able to sell them. But
Mhm.
I would counter that and say that I could do probably 3 to 4 estimates by the time somebody does one in 40 minutes.
Okay.
So this year we're getting rid of all in-person estimates at our company. We're not doing them anymore because us, just like you, we do very, very simple services. Although we don't do sod. Even with sod, you can be like, okay, where do you want like, where do you need, and you can see where it's bare, right? Like
Yeah.
underneath the tree in the front, that's where they need sod or like back left, like front or backyard. Like you can ask those qualifying questions on the phone. And then it's like, okay, great customer. You don't need to be home. Just make sure the gate's unlocked. We'll have somebody come out and measure those areas for the sod, and then we'll send you a quote. For the flower beds, very, very simple. There's about 2% of people that actually want to meet with us from last year. And we said, why are we tailoring to the 2% when 98% of people are just working day to day? They don't want to meet with us. They just want their problem solved. And so how do we solve their problem? We go out, we get their quote. Like, why does a customer need to talk to us about how to trim the bush or pull weeds or put mulch in? It's a very, very simple service. So we can ask all those qualifying questions over the phone or on our website through a form, which we're transitioning to is like, okay, you need a flower bed cleanup. Okay, front beds or back beds or both. Okay, great. Do you want mulch or not? Like bush trimming or pulling weeds? Like these are the only services that we offer. There's not much to discuss outside of that. And then when you go out and do the quote, you shouldn't be spending more than 5 minutes on that property doing a quick walkthrough, being like, okay, they need their bushes trimmed. You can always upsell them stuff later of like, hey, here's the notes that we saw. We recommend that you need a mulch. You could add it to the quote. But dude, our estimators, when they go out, we have two general managers that go out and do estimates. They're typically not on the property longer than 5 to 7 minutes. And everything's so systemized and it's great. This is music to my ears because you were like, hey, we basically just do flower beds, quotes, and sod. What you would do is we build a pre-typed out template and it's all the same. It's like, okay, flower bed cleanup, front flower beds, which is like 80% of ours, trim bushes, pull weeds, install mulch, haul off debris, and then we do a video recorded for the job for the crews. But basically, you would have that template, you would save it in your phone notes. And then when you're
Yeah.
creating the estimate on your CRM on Jobber, you can literally just go to your phone notes, copy that, paste it in the estimate, make a couple of tweaks, and you're done. Like we shouldn't like 10 minutes max on the property. If we can get it down to 10 minutes, then we can really utilize your time to sell more jobs and not have to hire somebody else. So all that to say, before I would hire another salesperson to help you, let's fix the system first and make it as efficient and quick and easy as possible. And then we can scale that.
Okay, makes sense. And just a question: do you guys take measurements, or do you just do it based off eye, like just like based off how long you think it would take?
Yeah, we just eye it.
Okay.
And it's not
Sure.
what I will tell you as we scale, if you want to scale, which that is your goal, speed over accuracy every day of the
Mm.
week. Speed over accuracy, progress over perfection. When I first started, man, I dissected this so hard, and I'm like, dude, our crews are gonna go over. We're gonna lose money. We're gonna lose our shirt. And what I've learned is like trying to get perfect on it just doesn't work. And because if you have one crew that's faster, but you have another crew that's slower, you just want the average. Roughly speaking, how long is this going to take? And then another thing that helps in the brain is do like a quarter day, half day, or a full day for this project. So sometimes you get there and it's like, oh, there's a rose bush or there's a crepe myrtle, and then there's like all like a row of hedges, and you're like, I don't really know how long this is going to take. If you kind of put yourself in their shoes and say, okay, if I was here by myself and I had a hedge trimmer and a rake and a blower, how long would this take me? Would I be here for a half day? Could I do 2 of these projects in one day? If the answer is yes, then it's probably going to be a half day job. So 4 hours.
Yeah.
If you're like, you know what, this is kind of a smaller flower bed up front, I could probably knock like 3 to 4 of these out in a day. Then I would say that's probably like a 2-hour job, like a quarter. Like you're never going to get perfectly accurate, but if we can if as long as 80 or 90% of the jobs are semi accurate and like try to get as close as possible, dude, you're solid. That's yeah. Cuz otherwise you spend so much time on the properties for so long where it's like you're an overhead to the business and you're not making the business any money to be there for 40 minutes. As much as it is valuable to like unless you're doing like really large projects, but you said to me earlier in this video that a lot of your jobs, especially the projects ones, were roughly like $500-$600 projects. Is that accurate?
So it was actually the lawn care that was bringing down the average cost, the average
Mm,
sale. But with the projects, I would say the average sale was probably maybe around 900 to 1,000
okay.
for these projects.
So are you doing like planting and like flower installation?
We did last year, like we offered way too many services last year. Like we kind of getting a bit too ahead of ourselves last year. So this year I'm only going to be offering those 5 core services. So I guess that's
Smart.
maybe why we had a bigger sale.
Yeah, I wouldn't stress too much about it, man. Honestly, if you shedded out a lot of those other services, dude, and when you have people on the phone, are you taking the phone calls or do you have an office person?
So my girlfriend did it last year. This year I'm gonna get a virtual receptionist to take the phone calls, just because if I'm gonna be doing quotes all day, I wouldn't really be able to pick up the phone. So they're going to be getting all phone calls regarding incoming leads from flyers or from the website and whatnot.
Okay, cool. Yeah, if you're just going with the simple service route, I would really lean more into the drive-by estimates. Now, we tell customers it's a drive-by, but that like we actually get out and walk the property. We'll be there for 5 minutes. The estimator will take the numbers down. They'll submit it to the office, which you basically just going to send the estimate in your car, and then you go to the next one. Now, what's important is when you send these and you get back to get on the phone and try to close them. That's the
Yeah.
difference between closing them in person versus, hey, let's do like 15 drive-bys, 20 drive-bys today, crank out like 20 estimates, and then I need to get on the phone and call and close these guys. Hey, it's Andrew. I was just there today. We got your flower bed cleaned up. I got a spot open this week on Thursday. Can I get you in on that day? Like we need to do that. Yeah, 40 minutes is pretty steep. You would need, man, you would need a lot. So yeah, if you could fix that process, create templates, copy paste, just tweak it, and then really speed up that and kind of get away from the in person, especially at like $800-900 projects. If you are doing like really like paver patios or hardscaping or like thousands of dollars worth of projects, yes, we need to definitely meet with the customer and like really fine tune that sales process and like sell them while we're there. But for simple services, flower beds, even honestly sod, you could really systemize. It's pretty simple. You just go there, take measurements, and then send the estimate.
Yeah, I guess that's something I haven't really considered. I think that would be a huge game changer. If I can bang out quotes that quickly, then like I shouldn't have an issue dealing with all the leads that are coming in.
Yeah, exactly. And then once you do that, then you can teach or train somebody else. Once you elevate yourself or graduate that position, then you can hand it off the right way. Cause that's what we did like in our office. Cause there was, it's so easy to hire somebody else and say we need to hire somebody, but it's more difficult to be like, wait, how do we do more with less though? Like how do we expand our mindset and say, but how can I be the only estimator for a $500,000 location? What processes would I need to implement? What changes would we need to make in the business for me to handle like, because you're having trouble right now at 100,000 or going to 300,000. You're saying, hey, we may need to hire somebody else. I would just try to delay that as long as humanly possible and try to use software and like templates and stuff like that to kind of like prolong that, process.
Yeah, I think that's an awesome mindset to have, actually.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, and then I guess the second thing that was kind of big from this past season, I feel like my finances and pricing was a bit off. Like we would lose money on some jobs just because like I didn't really factor in all these different components to business from the previous year where like I had all these additional pieces of software and whatnot, and also the truck halfway through the season. This upcoming season, I am going to follow through with profit first, of staying on top of things. I set up some spreadsheets to help me better get accurate estimates for each of the services. But I just wanted to ask, like, kind of how do you stay on top of that? And like, I saw you put out a video on profit first. Like, are you still using that? Is there like, have you like kind of done anything to supplement with that? But I just wanted your opinion on that.
Yeah, so good question. I think for you that would be a very good step forward for figuring out and being on top of finances. It's like the Dave Ramsey system of kind of the envelope system, but with the bank accounts. At the beginning, if you're doing, we are changing our processes because we are doing multiple locations, and at multiple locations at scale, it's there's no way I can have, dude. We had 14 bank accounts for our main location. 14,
Well,
which I simplified that a little bit down to like 8. But even then, I think you really only need maybe like 4 to 5, like core ones that if you really kind of sit down, like you probably want a marketing one, a tax one, an operating one, like, and there's probably a couple other important ones that you definitely want to like systemize on that. If your goal is to basically have one behemoth location and just grow big and just grow revenue, the profit first system is phenomenal. I would highly recommend it for anybody that is building one business. If your goal is to copy and paste the business 10 times, I would not do the profit first. It might be okay for you now in the short term for the next maybe 3 to 5 years. Might make sense to do to learn that stuff. But yeah, multiple locations, we're getting away from it. We're just doing one account. And then to combat that, we're just having a certain dollar amount that needs to be in the business at all times as our operating kind of like safety blanket. for business.
Okay, perfect. And in terms of kind of jumping back to that finance portion, my labor costs this past season, I think it was close to 50%. So I kind of wanted to ask how you stay on top of your labor costs and making sure that like things are efficient with the scheduling, or let's say like you're staying on top of the guys at the projects, just because I'm not there a lot of the times at the projects, and I find some projects take way longer than they should have and whatnot. Like, how do you kind of stay on top of labor costs?
That's a good question. How are you paying your team?
So this past season, it was just by the hour. But this upcoming season, I was looking to get all the guys cutting lawns. They're going to get a percentage of the revenue. I set that 30%. And then for the actual, all the marketers I had, I was going to get a sales rep. I don't think so anymore. But they were going to be fully commission based. And as well with the landscapers, I don't know how to make it so it's not by the hour. Just because I've seen some of Mike Andy's stuff, and he was always talks about performance pay. But I just wanted to hear your input on how you stay on top of your labor costs.
Yeah, I would say when we implemented P
Yeah.
for P software, you don't have to buy the software through Mike Andy's. You can literally do this on an Excel spreadsheet. It does require a couple of changes in the business. So number one, you have to figure out how much you're charging per hour. Do you know how much you're charging customers per hour?
I don't, but this upcoming season, I set it up so that I'm pricing it based off average time it took to complete the job, and so that this way my labor costs are below 35% this season. So I don't have a per hour, but I kind of have for each service. These are all the steps included in it. This is roughly how long it takes, and this is what I need to charge to hit the 35%.
Exactly. So as long as you have that data, as long as they're clocking in and out of the mowing services and then the flower bed cleanups and stuff like that, you know how long that takes. So what you do is you would set a certain budget amount of times. For 2,000 turf square feet lawn, I mean, there's no way it should take more than probably 30 minutes a lawn for one guy. Is that pretty accurate?
I would say it's probably closer to 20 minutes a lawn. Like where some lawns are 15 minutes, like super quick.
Yeah. So let's just say like your average is 20 minutes. So yeah, then that would be 0.33 budgeted hours. 20 divided by 60. Yeah, 0.33. So it'd be 0.33 budgeted hours. So the mowing's easy, right? You're just like, yeah, okay, that lawn will be 20 minutes. This one's 15. But the projects is where you might have to shift over and adjust some things. So when you start to do your quotes for flower beds, again, use the quarter day, half day, full day at the beginning. And then when you get really good at it and you can be like, okay, that's going to be an hour and 15 minutes, then you could do 1.25 budget hours, right? But based on that, when you go and do your flower bed quotes, you would figure out how much budgeted hours is this job. Ideally, what we do is just if it was one person here, and let's say, you pull up and it's a 4-hour bush and bed service with mulch. Takes 4 hours. It's going to be a half day. Well, if there's two guys there, it should be 2 hours each, right? They'll get it done in 2 hours. But if it's one guy would be there for an entire half day. And then what you would do is on the budgeted hour payout, whatever you're paying or charging the customer, they would get what you said, like 30% of that
Yeah.
is what you were kind of doing. And so, but the P for P does not include any like job materials or anything like that. So do you know, like, what would you be charging customers per hour, or what goal would you want to charge per hour?
Maybe about $60 per hour. Yeah, because actually, I feel like I kind of described that too wrong. So when I said for the projects I'm trying to keep labor under 35%, I meant to say labor and material under 35%. Whereas just for the grass cutting, it's just 30% of revenue, and about I'd say maybe like 5% for gas and oil,
Got it.
stuff like that.
Yeah. So for the project side, I would try to keep it the same.
Okay.
So when you pay out the percentage, you have to split the budgeted time versus the materials.
Okay.
Does that kind of make sense?
Yes.
Like you have to the crews should not be getting any percentage on materials.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's your take home. That's you negotiating with your vendors to get the mulch better at better price. That's your profit. That's not theirs.
Yeah.
What they take home is the budgeted hour, 30% of that. So we already established on the mowing, right? If you're charging, a certain amount, they would get 30% of that. The same thing would be for the projects. If it's a 4-hour flower bed cleanup and there's 20 bags of mulch, they're only getting 30% on the 4 hours of labor.
Yeah.
So P4P software helps you clarify with that, but you do have to kind of get granular in the fact of like when you do your estimates and you figure out how like when you do your estimates and you come up with a dollar amount, you also need to come up with a budgeted hour amount
Yeah, makes
because
sense.
those two go hand in hand. When you give that price to the customer and they accept, it's like, great, we just sold a $750 job. Okay, but how many budgeted hours are on that job? We need to know that. And you would ideally put it in your notes, in your estimate template notes at the bottom. You put how many budget hours slash how many bags of mulch, slash if there's like a delivery fee on there, right? So that way when that job books, you know how much money is going to go to the crews. And if you're charging 60 an hour, let's use that for example. So 60 times 4 hours, which means they're going to make the company $240. They're going to get 30% of that. So they would make $72.
Okay.
Now, if they did that in 4 hours, they'd be making 18 an hour.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's good or not for your market, but
That's a bit low. Like typically it's about $20 an hour. Like our minimum wage right now is $17 an hour. It's like 17.50. So yeah, we'll probably have to be a bit closer. But I totally get what you're saying. I think that would also be huge for in terms of scheduling, because then I'll know exactly how long things will take. Like, is that also kind of how you schedule your jobs, just like by quarter day, half day, or full day?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and depending on the software that you use, so I don't know if Jobber allows you to like track that, like the budgeted hours and stuff like that. We use Copilot. I think 60 an hour might be a little low. You may need to, definitely. I mean, I would definitely price check in your local area just to make sure you're competitive with pricing. Typically, I would recommend at the minimum 60 an hour. You may want to be at like 70 an hour. Our main location down here in Texas is at 80 an hour. I know some people that charge 100 or 110 an hour,
Yeah.
depending on the market, but I would at a very minimum, nothing less than 60 an hour.
Okay. Yeah. So I was looking to push prices this year quite a bit, but I'm not sure exactly how far to push it. So like just for reference, what's your close rate?
So we right now is 45% at our main location, 35% at our second location.
Okay. Like right now I'm sitting about a 50% close rate. Do you think it's okay to raise, or at least what point should I raise prices to where close rate drops to like a threshold? Like is there a certain threshold where like I shouldn't drop below, let's say 30% close rate?
Yeah. So I would say, so you do not want to raise prices until you hit capacity. So you just told me that you bought another truck earlier this year or about to get one in 2 weeks, right?
Yeah.
Now the problem with that is we're back in growth mode. We need to fill that capacity. So unfortunately, I actually would say to keep your prices at 60 an hour right now, even though the crews are not going to make great money, but you need to sell like a madman. And in fact, that 50% close ratio, you may want to get on the phones with those pending estimates and try to close more and get that up to like a 60%,
Okay.
65% close ratio. And then you just try to get to capacity with those two trucks as fast as possible. Once you do that, and 3 months from now, you onboard 50 new customers this spring and you're busy and you've got, two trucks going constantly 5 days a week, then we need to raise prices. At
Okay.
that point, where you would decide, okay, do I want to buy another truck or do I want to at least make a little bit of money because I'm working my brains out with 3 or 4 other employees. But that's also when you start to get in that wilderness area. It's really tough from like 1 to like 4 employees. So just be mindful of that. You're probably not going to make a ton of profit yet until you get up to like probably 4 or 500K. That's where it really starts to return. But yeah, so to answer your question, I probably would not raise prices until I got close to capacity. And then once you get to like that 90% capacity and you've got, okay, we can only take on like 20 more customers. Otherwise, like I got to either get another truck or have these guys working on Saturdays all the time. And I don't want to do that either because you're going to burn your people out.
Yeah.
At that point, you would want to raise prices up to maybe 70 an hour and then incrementally just go up from there.
Okay. Okay. Makes sense. The only thing is because we're more project, the idea of capacity I feel like more applies to the recurring services like lawn care, for example. But in terms of the project base, where like we only have really like a 2 month to like 3 month period where like we're getting projects nonstop, and like after those 3 or even 4 months, there's like hardly any projects. What should I do for that?
Yeah, you make a really valid point, Andrew. What I would do is I would focus on once you finish that job, doing a walkthrough or training your crews to do a walkthrough with the customer to just get their approval,
Yeah,
but also upselling them to a recurring maintenance package.
yeah,
It's great, and you can make a lot of money doing projects, and there's a window, that 2 to 3 month window where you can make a lot of money. The problem is you have to every single year sell that amount of money to make, again, another 100, 200, 300K a year.
yeah,
I would rather you build a business where at least half of that revenue is recurring. So let's say you build the business to about 300K this year. At
yeah.
least in 2026, when you start, at least you're starting with 150K in the bank already that year. You don't have to go out and resell that because it's recurring work. And, just sell them, hey, a monthly bush and bed trim. Like, instead of you just calling us twice a year for a fraction of the cost, you can get on this monthly subscription where, we come out and we touch up the bushes, we pull the weeds of anything growing, and it's hassle free. You don't even have to think about it.
Yeah, I think that would be an amazing idea because I feel like that's another thing, like in terms of like hiring and like having my team, because a lot of those projects kind of drop off after those 3 months, like we kind of run out of work to overhire for the peak season. But when you guys schedule for the whole season, I assume you guys just like spread out the work.
A little bit, yeah. I mean, we're more of a recurring service. I really like the recurring model. It's To me, that's projects are nice. You can make a lot of money with that, but I like the recurring model because I don't want to have to go out. Like if I build $1 million business, I don't want to have to go out and resell another $1 million the next year.
That's true.
Like I'd rather build $1 million business and then reap the rewards for the next 5 years. Yeah, sure, you got to probably do some work to like maintain some of the customers and like customer service, but like you already did the hard work. You built a recurring model. And so like every month, every year, they keep paying you as long as you do good work. So I would really lean into like the recurring stuff. So do you capture your leads in your CRM when they call, even if they don't book?
Not if, well, actually, yes. So, oh, sorry, no, not when they call, but if they book, they're forever in our system. Like it's through Calendly. A lot of people will just book themselves because on the flyers there's a QR code and we have all their information, but not when they call and they don't book an estimate. But typically, like if they're calling, they book an estimate. Like 95% or 97% of people who call actually end up booking an estimate because they're calling to book an estimate.
Okay, so as long as they book an estimate, it'll create them a profile.
Yes.
Okay. Well, that's good. So what I would do is once those projects fall off, like after the first 2 or 3 months of the spring rush, that's when you like literally every month I would send out an email to all
Yeah.
of them and say, hey, we're running a promotion for bush trimming right now. If you sign up by the end of the week, get 20% off. Also, like when you're sending out these promotions, we need to target recurring, not projects, recurring. Hey, we're offering, monthly bush trimming at a fraction of the cost of what it would be for your spring cleanup. Take advantage of it because it'll save you money. And create a flyer, dude. Go on Canva or whatever kind of like software that you could use and be like, okay, this is what a one-time project looks like. Like you just told me $900. You spend $900. Or for 7 months out of the year or 12 months out of the year, you can go on this monthly switching over to the recurring side and pay like 99 a month or something like that, or like $79 a month or something like that. And it's like the value, and like maybe you only do it 7 months out of the year because the other like 4 or 5 months is like cold and wet and like snowy up there, right? But like you could show them like, hey, and maybe like 900 up to like 1200 is like the average of what that is. Okay, cool. And then you put a line with a slash through it. And then over here, it's like for $79 a month, you would get your bushes trimmed, pull weeds, and like you figure out what that is. But like, that's how you build that recurring model, really upsell it that way. You could either do it monthly, you could do it every 6 weeks, you could do it every 2 months, like whatever model or however frequency you want to be there, you can build that out. And then in your mind, instead of it all doing one time at a spring cleanup, you can kind of divvy it out and be like, all right, how long would this take me each month if I had to come once a month? Because at that point, it's not going to be crazy.
Yeah.
You're probably going to spend maybe 30 minutes to an hour there just touching up the bushes and like pulling a couple of weeds. Like it's going to be like you guys are going to be in and out lickety split. You'll have the budgeted hours on that job.
Yeah.
So, and then the crews will know, and they'll probably get in and out faster because it's already a well-maintained property. And then they'll be happy for that because then they'll make more money on P4P.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think that would be a huge game changer, actually. So, do you think it'd be more wise for me to focus on turning my business more into a recurring business rather than trying to just grow it in terms of revenue?
I don't think so. I think if the project thing is working currently, I would lean into that, but make the priority the recurring service.
Okay.
Like we really have to build a process. We have to build a system that like once somebody books an estimate on Calendly, we go out, we do the project, we quote it, they accept it, we do the project, okay, it's done. Then what happens? Like, do we just wait for them to call us back? Because if that's the answer, then that's a problem. Okay, then do we build an email marketing campaign where every next 3 months, hey, just checking in. It looks like we already cleaned up your flower bed once. We'd love to, get you on a recurring program. Here, let me show you how this is valuable for you. You don't have to spend a globs of money up front. It's a subscription model, or it's like every month we come out, we do this for this amount of price, and like you start to build that. Also, when your crews are finished, knock on the door. 9 out of 10 times they may not be home because people, work and stuff. But like if they're home, we need to be doing a walkthrough and then telling the customer, hey, if you book today, it's normally $99, but if you book today for $69 a month, like you would get this. And like try to really sell them into that recurring model. They just spent a lot of money on their bed cleanup, and their home is their asset. So they're going to want to maintain it. And if we can sell it to them after, I think that would be good.
Well, I think, yeah, for sure. Because we do walk arounds for all the projects that we finish just to make sure the customer's happy with it. I think that would be huge, actually, if we pitched every single one of them on
Yeah.
the recurring work.
Yeah. And then also in like midsummer, once things slow down and it's like you guys are like, man, there's not much work to do. All the projects are done.
Yeah.
Okay, let's send out a mass text or a mass email and say reoccurring flower bed cleanups. Get on the schedule today. We're running a promotion. It's normally $99 a month. Sign up, within the next week, and you get it for $79 or $69 or something like that. And then, list out exactly what it includes, and then just let us, and then you can kind of go from there. Or I mean, you don't have to try to sell them necessarily in that email, or you could just say, hey, we're doing quotes right now for recurring cleanups monthly. So if you want to quote, let us know. And then that would generate you to go out and do, 15, 20 quotes plus, hopefully. And then when you're doing the quotes, you're quoting specifically recurring cleanups.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Instead of just one-time projects.
True. Wow. I think that'll be a huge game changer, actually.
Yeah. And that will help increase the amount of recurring revenue you have. Otherwise, man, if you don't sell anything today, I mean, out of that 100,000 that you did last year, if more than half of that's not recurring, you're already down at like 40 or 50K,
Yeah. Yeah.
So how do we build the most recurring model possible? So that way we can build a business that's more sustainable for you and your team,
That's true. Yeah. Oh, wow. Yeah, I guess I haven't really considered that too much, just because like I've always had that mindset of like, I get so much money off these projects just because like they're such big ticket projects. But like I never really considered that just changing that could allow me to run a much more smooth business throughout the whole year.
Yeah. And Andrew, in a down market, projects are typically what stop first. People stop spending tons of money on projects. So like again, if you want to build something that's safer, I'm not saying to not do projects. It's great. You could take that money and then take it and then pump it out into marketing. Like
Yeah.
market the recurring. Take that $1,000 job. You make 20, 30% on that. Okay, now that's $200, $300. Let's pump it into recurring stuff. And then, you use it as a tool to build the recurring model. But yeah, in like downward markets or where the economy is not doing well, projects are the first thing that dry up. If you can, again, just building it a little bit more safe for you and your employees, I think will be better.
Okay. I think you really answered like a lot of the like gave me solutions to basically a lot of the things that like I was kind of hesitant on. I wasn't exactly sure how to approach these. But yeah, honestly, I really appreciate all the advice. Definitely
Awesome.
gonna implement a lot of that. I think switching to the recurring work is gonna be huge. But yeah, I really appreciate everything.
Yeah, absolutely. And then Andrew, last thing here. So I would 100,000% definitely make sure that you switch over to P for P, like the model, not necessarily the software. I'm not telling you that you have to go and like purchase the software, but I'm just saying like you could just do it on an Excel spreadsheet on the
Okay.
back end every pay period of like, okay, how many budget hours did they complete? What percentage are they getting? This is their payout. And like the sooner you do that, the better. It changed our entire business. It changed our entire business. I can't stress it enough. It does take some time to implement. There is I think Mike has free like training thing around it. If you just search like P for P software, Mike Andes, he has a course that shows you exactly how to do it and how to implement it. I would take that time and really understand that. Like I said, you don't have to pay for the software either. It could be free. You do it on the back end. But once you implement P for P inside of your business, dude, it will help you out significantly. It'll free up your time. You won't have to micromanage your crews, especially if you're having problems with them not getting the jobs done in an adequate amount of time. That's a big, big problem. I don't like micromanaging people. I like treating everybody like adults. And the P for P software, it tells you their efficiency score for the day every day. They
Wow.
get a report sent to them via text or email every day. And I do too as a manager. So I have a pulse on exactly how they did every single day. And when it's under a certain amount, there's a problem. And so I know it within, and I'm not even out in the field crews. I don't even see half of the crews in the morning. But when I get that report, I can tell immediately if there's a problem or not. And when I need to step in and kind of be like, hey, what's going on here or whatever, it's nice, but it's really, really nice.
Okay. And so do you use the P4P software from Mike Andes or do you have your own software?
No, we use the software. And I think the free version's like $99 a month. Or no, it's up to like 5 users is like $99 a month.
Okay.
And then we have the more advanced one that's like, dude, it's $200 a month, but I would pay that all day.
Of
I would
course.
pay that all day. Like it buys me my time back. It pays my crews better because dude, all of our guys make like probably 22 to 30 an hour.
Wow.
Yeah. And like I used to pay hourly.
Yeah.
I had 11 guys on the team, 11. And then we switched over to P for P. We dropped down to 6 dudes and they did the same exact workload that the 11 people did
Wow.
because they were on performance pay, which basically means the harder you work, the more money you make. So
Yeah.
all of a sudden, everybody had a little bit more effort to give and a little bit more energy and could stay a little bit longer and figured out a better way to get the jobs done to go do another job, all because we implemented P for P software. And it really, like, it's the most fair way to pay because I hated it when I had 2 guys and I was paying them both. At this time, it was like 15 an hour. This was a few years ago, but both of them were making 15 an hour. And employee A was a stud. He showed up early. He worked longer. He was so fast at the job. He never got complaints. And employee B, he'd show up late. He'd do the jobs halfway, get a ton of complaints, and they were both making the same. And
Okay.
it like killed me. I was like, how do I take care of my A player? And
Yeah.
it's through P for P. And this maybe not just for you, but anybody that might be watching, like it's not for you, it's for them. It's for your team. If you want to really take care of your people, P for P is it. It's the unlock going from 100 to 5, 6, 700K. It's the unlock, paying people based on performance. I will never pay somebody hourly, straight hourly just again. It doesn't compute in their brains because you as the owner want the job to get done as quick as possible so they can go to another job and make more money. The employee wants it to take as long as possible so they can get overtime
Yeah.
and get their hours in.
Yeah.
So on hourly, you guys are going in different directions. P for P, we both want the job to be done quickly, efficiently, in a well manner, because when the employee's making 25, 30 an hour, the business is making a lot of money.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, then definitely I think that's gonna be definitely gonna add that to our list of softwares for this year.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really good, man. It'll change your business for sure. Takes
Okay.
takes some time to kind of implement. You can run down the back end, just make sure it all works first before like rolling it out to the crews.
That's
You could
okay.
do kind of a side by side, like, hey, okay, you clocked 40 hours this week. Here's what you made. I'm making 18 an hour. Okay,
Yeah.
That's their base pay. Okay, here's what you would have made on P for P. Okay, which one do you want?
Yeah.
Right? And do that for a few weeks and then be like, okay, do you guys feel comfortable enough switching over to this side of things? And ideally, as long as like they're getting a decent amount of percentage, yeah, man, you'll all of a sudden see they could do way more work than what they were doing.
Yeah. I believe it. 100%.
Yeah.
Awesome.
But cool, man. Well, it looks like we're coming up to the end here. So I really appreciate you coming on. You had really good questions. I think it's going to help a lot of people. Stick around here as we end this. I wanted to kind of go over something with you real quick.